work on that. So there's one here I need to sign. And I forgot to sign. That was already signed.
Wait a minute, left or right?
I think I have it.
I am ready.
You might be ready.
I'm ready. I was ready for it.
Wait.
Okay. Take your time. Talk among yourselves.
Give me a top. Hey, nine of keys on that.
Wow, those numbers really went.
Yeah. Sorry about that, I want to just no 10 seconds.
Oh, now we have inflation of the volume. Remember, you guys wanted this.
We didn't know what to make wrong with it. All right, now we're ready.
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting, regular town council meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Bragdon,
Present.
Counselor Danforth. Here. Chair Dubay,
Here.
Counselor Galib,
Here.
Counselor Higgins,
Here.
Counsel Madore,
Here.
Counselor Pelletier.
Here. Thank you. Could I have everybody uncover and please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this moment, I would like to call Chief Malcolm to the podium. And he's going to make an announcement. All right.
Thank you, Chair. Council. Mike Owens.
Better?
Yes.
Thank you. I got informed today that Millinocket, former Millinocket Fire Chief Dan Hart, some of you may have remembered Dan. Dan was here in the early 80s. He was here for probably 6 or 8 years before moving on to Sanford. He passed away, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for him if we could, please.
Thank you, Chief
Thank you.
Malcolm, in honor of the fallen firefighter. Mr. Manager, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
One adjustment, Mr. Chairman, it's order number 29-2023, appointment to Snell Appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Approval for the minutes for October 27th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. So regular town meeting, January 23, 25, and executive sessions. Motion made by Council Madore, seconded by Council Golley. All in favor? And moving to special presentation, Resolve 2-2023, proclamation honoring Jim Charette. Council Madore, would you please read?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolve number 2-2023, proclamation honoring James Charette on his retirement as the superintendent of the town of Millinocket wastewater treatment plant. Whereas James began his career as a truck driver for Public Works Department in October 16th of 1989 and continued in that capacity until November 6, 1995, when he became the mechanic for the Millinocket wastewater treatment facility. Then in December 16th, 1996, James became the assistant operator for the Millinocket wastewater treatment facility until May 29th of 2001, when he became the superintendent of Millinocket wastewater treatment facility, retiring February 3rd, 2023, after 33 years with the town of Millinocket. And whereas James has always served the citizens of Millinocket with enthusiasm and integrity and performed his duties throughout the years of service in a conscientious and responsible manner, and whereas James has consistently responded with ingenuity, imagination, foresight to the duties and responsibilities given to him, fulfilling them with outstanding accuracy and competency, and whereas James has set an example of dedication to principle, which has been an inspiration to his fellow employees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Millinocket Town Council in council assembled on February 9th, 2023, does hereby recognize, honor, and thank James for his dedication to the Millinocket town of Millinocket during his tenure as superintendent of the Millinocket wastewater treatment facility.
Second.
Motion made by Council Madore, seconded by Council Bragdon. Council discussion. Council Goalie.
Well, I've been very vocal about how incredibly run your department has been so long as I've been here. I think the language of this order is absolutely perfect. You have been consistent. You've had the foresight, ingenuity, your dedication to principle, and outstanding accuracy and competency. That really does sum up your relentless commitment to the town. I greatly appreciate you and all that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Goalie. Any other council comment? Council Madore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim, I must admit, I am going to miss seeing your smiling face almost every day when I walk my dogs out by the treatment plant. But more importantly, it's that personality, that smile, that can-do attitude, that ability to go ahead and take a bad situation and somehow manage to turn it around, which has made you an invaluable part of the town of Millinocket for all these many years. Sometimes, you know, you can have a good employee. You can have somebody who is very competent at their job. But to have somebody who genuinely cares about the job, the people that they work with, and the community that they serve is unique, and you certainly fit that bill. I know that the people that have worked in that wastewater treatment plant, especially your right-hand man, Everett, you have been a team that has done and gone beyond so many times, not just at the plant itself, but in countless jobs where you have overseen pump station rebuilds, sewer line being redone and everything else, and your constant ability to go ahead and work with the state and local municipalities and governments to get jobs done for the town and get them done right the first time, so we don't have to go back and ever have to them again. I think it's anybody has earned a retirement, it has you. But again, you are one of that group of people that we have seen lately that is retiring within the town of Millinocket, that replacing you or finding somebody or finding 2 people or 3 people that can do your job, because it may take 2 or 3 people to do all that you do, is going to be very hard. And I wish you well. I wish you happiness. I wish Pauline didn't have you hanging around all the time. But most importantly, congratulations on a job well done and gratitude from the people of Millinocket. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council Madore. Any other council comment? Council Danforth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm sitting up here beaming because your whole family is here, and everything that's been said, you know, the words that were printed on this resolve and the other 2 counselors that have spoken, it's just all so true. And I, you know, would magnify it times 10. You're just, you know, you serve with integrity, but as a community member in your family, you're just so, you're loved by all. And as Councilor Madore said, you know, Pauline tag you're at, but we know you're gonna put him to great work, and we're going to continue to see that smile on the community. Just really appreciate all that you've done. Thank you, Jim.
Any council comment? Council Bragdon.
All I have to say is enjoy your retirement. Thoroughly enjoy it. Thank you.
I guess that leaves me. Oh. Mr. Manager.
Jim Charette's a big deal. It was really rewarding to learn from you last year. I learned more about wastewater and quality of river water than I ever cared to. And it was taught with such passion. It was an honor to work with you and to learn from you. And I'm sure that, I'm here, former interim town manager, Mr. Angati's here. I'm sure Mr. Davis or Mr. Conalon or Ms. Daigle, anybody before us who has also had the pleasure to work, I'm sure they all reach the same. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manager. Jim, thank you for your service to Millinocket. I mean, when I was working in the tax collector's office, I'd see you daily, and I've never met somebody. I mean, I've known you outside of that, but nobody else has had a can-do attitude like you. You always have a smile on your face. I don't know anybody that's never been stressed out like you. At least you never let it show. You always had a, for lack of a better term, a go with the flow kind of attitude. Dealing with all the Millinocket's crap, so. So, no, in all honesty, thank you, and I know that they could have a hard time filling your qualifications, but you can never replace the person that you are, and that's more important than anything. You make a lot of people smile, and with that, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody that would like to speak on this resolve, come to the microphone, and you know the spiel.
Richard Angati, 222 Katahdin Avenue, former interim manager, former code officer. One of the things that I always loved with Jim was no matter what office I sat in, when he come around the corner, you saw that smile. And if you asked him how things were going, the plumbing's humming. So those are always a smile that put a smile on your face, my face, and I passionately nicknamed him Little Jimmy Sunshine, and that's just what he is. He's that ray of sunshine. So every morning when I saw him, good morning, Little Jimmy Sunshine, and he will forever be that Little Jimmy Sunshine. And I want to wish him very well in his semi-retirement. And I'm sure we'll see him out on the fuel truck.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Jeff Campbell, 3 Juniper Street, and airport manager. When I started here in a town department, working at the airport, Jim and I had a lot of interaction right off quick, and I thought to myself, how can anybody be this happy all the time? It can't be true, but honestly, after all these years, it's true. He really is that happy all the time and that good to deal with. So I've really enjoyed working with you, Jim, over the years. I'm going to miss you in the department head situation and in the meetings, but I know I'll see you plenty in public. I just really enjoyed working with you. I really did, truly. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
I may as well speak for the Department of the Clerk and Tax Collection. He has got the wastewater billing where it is today, to where you're not receiving those little postcards anymore with his stamp of approval. He's been great to work with, so he has made the community happy, but also the department heads, and you will be missed, Jim. Enjoy your retirement. Pauline put him to work.
Tom Malcolm, Fire Chief, 73 School Street. I've been very fortunate in my career to work with some great people, and that's a great person. Jim has been a solid rock for this community. Anytime you need anything, if I had a problem, I knew Jim was on the other end of the line, I could call him. I've had Jim and his people doing ambulance calls. So that kind of people we miss, and I'm really gonna miss him and the way that we work together. Thank you, Jim, and enjoy your retirement.
Anybody else from the public?
Wait, I have to say like my name and address, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Alina White Charette. I live at 137 State Street. That's my Pepe, and you know, he's a real stand-up fella. He's really great, and you guys all said how happy he is all the time and how he's always smiling, but you haven't seen him when I ask him for money. But he always gives it. And yeah, I'm really lucky to have him. Not a lot of little girls can say that they have Pepe like him. And I'm so glad that he's retiring so we can hang out all the time. Thank you.
Now, I'm sorry, ma'am. It doesn't count unless you make them cry.
He cries at every dance recital.
Anybody else from the public? Back to the council. Councilman Dorr?
I just want to go ahead and stress one more thing. Thank you very much for making my voice carry further than it normally does. To go ahead, I've traveled with Jim a few times to different places in Augusta, in Waterville, and places where we've met with EPA, PUC. And to see the respect and the recognition that he receives everywhere he goes from state officials, every time he speaks, all the connections that he's made over the years, and how you can just see that people have a genuine respect and interest for what Jim has to say and how he's saying it, and knowing that the town of Millinocket has always been represented to its best ability, his best ability, which is outstanding to begin with. But I think it's important to see that it's not just Millinocket, the people here that have a fondness for Jim, but the state of Maine and the people that he works with on multiple levels have a great deal of respect and a great deal of genuine caring for Jim when he's around. And I just wanted to make that point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Dorr. If we're prepared, would you
Yes,
present?
I would be more than happy.
Mike?
What? Oh, that's right. I can go right from here.
So I'm gonna go to a vote. Now that the council has spoken, the public has spoken, we're gonna move to a vote. Council Medora.
Aye.
Council Bragdon.
Aye.
Council Pelletier, Council Higgins,
Aye.
Danforth, Council Goldie, Chair Dumays, and I 7-0 vote. Thank you. Sorry about that. Going to get to the good stuff.
Please accept this with humility and gratitude from the town of Millinocket for all your years of service. Thank you so very much.
Yes.
I would address it.
That's really. Yeah, tell me what I'm doing.
You are hidden perfectly.
Congratulations.
Oh. Going to say any words? Gotta do it, Jim. How come they're all walking out when you're getting ready to talk?
Is it on?
Oh, yeah.
It's on. Okay.
All right.
I just want to thank the town of Millinocket for giving me the opportunity to work all these years and support my family. And it's been great working with everybody. I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great people. And as far as I'm concerned, they're second to none. Any community. So anyway, thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Take care.
Thank you. All right, now we have a Millinocket Library, Memorial Library quarterly update from Miss Diana Furakawa.
All right, to sit here or on your mic or I'm going to bring this.
We go on for you.
Thank you.
I don't say we, because I have nothing.
Okay, come.
Guilty by association, man. Guilty by association.
You may need to bring the mic and watch it whenever you.
Okay. Moment. Okay, can you all hear me? All right, so for anyone I don't know, I think I know all the counselors at this point and the public. My name is Diana Kawa, and I'm the director of the Millinocket Memorial Library. Last year, the town manager and I talked about ways that we can increase communication and transparency between the library and the town. Because we're in this kind of unusual position of being not a department, but receiving significant funding. So I've been doing these since last year. And today I'm going to cover a few different topics. I'm just briefly going to touch on a few high-level successes from 2022 and where we're headed going into the new year. I didn't want to jump right into the numbers since I know we have some new counselors here. I'm going to share a few changes that were made to our 2023 operating budget, since that's what I presented a draft the last time I was here. So I just want you to be oriented with the numbers that we ended up at. And I'm going to give an overview. This is kind of the meat of tonight's presentation of the library's participation in the New Markets Tax Credit Program and how that affects the library-town relationship and the library-town lease. So I'll try to keep it relatively high level, but I just want to reiterate, I'm committed to transparency. The whole library and its board is, and if anyone on the council or in the public has follow-up questions, I'm happy to go into more depth during this presentation or afterwards and talk to you about it. All right. So I'm going to get into things. And I just want to say these are slightly different than the slides you might have in your packet. So I hope I don't throw anyone off too much. All right. It's fun to get to share some successes when it's not budget season. I just had these numbers on my computer and they were exciting to me about how we did in 2022. We offered 332 programs, which we're not even open on Sundays. So that's more than one program every day of the year, which is really exciting to me. It's a huge increase since 2021. Some of these increases are more than you'd expect because of COVID's impact on 2021, but still, we offered anything from story times to computer classes to canning workshops. I'm trying to think of the most obscure program we had, but the full gamut and really trying to aim for all ages. And that's just exciting to me, along with the community meeting numbers and the amount of meeting room use and computer use we saw. So these are some of the statistics that are exciting to me. And I'm going to be sharing more of them in our annual report, which is coming out later this month, along with some more numbers about the value of our services, financial and otherwise. So just wanted to give you a little sneak preview of that. It'll be coming out. I'll make sure that counselors get a copy and the public, it'll be online and available to anyone else who is interested. Where are we going in 2023? These are the three words that sum it up for me. Community. I know it sounds a little cliche, but
That's what we are. We're a social infrastructure. It's all about people connecting to their neighbors and where they live. And that's what we strive to offer. So it's all about bringing people together. Sustainability. I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the improvements that we are proposing to our building. And those are really to make sure that it's eco-friendly. It's going to last for a long time. It's going to support, we're going to have revenue streams from it that support our operations in the long term. And I think it touches on staff and systems as well. We want to make sure that the jobs we're offering are livable, that they are good paying jobs that people are going to stay in, and that we have systems to protect ourselves and make ourselves more resilient to change. So that's a priority this year as well. That's kind of internal and external. And service is the last one. This can take a lot of forms, but at the library, we're committed to responding to community needs that we see, whether it's the warming center that we were closed last weekend and luckily was not super busy, but we want to be there to fill the gaps based on the community needs that we see. So I just wanted to put that in there. My board is undergoing a strategic planning process, and through this, what I'm hoping is that they will be translating those 3 words and others into measurable goals. We'll be diving into how do we measure success as a library in 2023. And I will definitely be asking for some input from stakeholders, including the town, on what does a successful library look like? What is our definition of a library in 2023? And how can we best serve this community? So stay tuned. I may be reaching out for input on that. Okay, any questions about that kind of high level overview? Okay. Moving on, this will be quick. The budget. There's basically one major change. We had initially the draft I showed you all back in October only showed about $15,000 of our anticipated employee retention credit income being reflected in the budget. We decided, my board wanted to show all of that in our budget, and that's why you'll see the total income at 330. I think it was somewhere around 275 before. They wanted to reflect that all in the income side, and then also reflect the transfers that we're going to be making in our expenses side towards our other accounts and projects going on this year. So I'm just gonna scroll through and show you that. There weren't major changes to our facility stuff, our programming budgets. Some minor increases to professional development and also to wages to account for the cost of living increases that were pretty extraordinary in 2022. And then here at the end, you can see we've decided to make transfers to our operating reserve, our capital account, and to our new endowment account, which is going to be invested over time to support our operations. Just going back one slide, we also did have to budget a little more than we thought for asset management fees, which I'm going to get into in the third part of the presentation, what that is and why. So that brings our total budget to about 330,000. I just didn't want you to be shocked when I give an update why that's so much greater. But ultimately our expenses did not increase, it's just reflecting those transfers. So zooming into the capital account and what our plans are this year, I put this in my monthly reports to the council, but I just wanted to touch on these 3 projects we have planned. One is a roof replacement and reinforcement, and the addition of a very small canopy and patio space outside of the children's room to allow for outdoor and play space, garden programming. That's the first project. Our roof, I think, was last replaced in 1993. It is leaking. This was something that was supposed to be fixed during our 2019 renovation and got cut for budgetary reasons, but really needs to happen. And we intend to reinforce a little bit of it kind of towards the teen area, if you're familiar with the building, and the children's side. So where those solar panels are shown in the rendering, because we want to make sure that the roof is strong enough to support a solar array, which is the second project we have planned for this year. Solar, again, was cut from the 2019 renovation, but I think it's a really important investment in sustainability for the library. We've been lucky to have a pellet boiler, which has saved us a ton of money on energy costs and reduced emissions. And we're excited about the solar as well, and received a congressionally delegated spending allocation to pay for that entire project. Lastly, I think you're all familiar with the electric vehicle charger proposal that was brought to the council last month. So that will be, thank you for approving that. I'm excited about that. We heard from Efficiency Maine that we'll be able to move forward with that. That'll be 2 dual chargers, 4 total plugs on the main avenue side of the building. I'm excited about solar and the EV chargers in particular because they may ultimately generate revenue for us and be, again, more sustainable in the long run. And lastly, on this, I just wanted to reiterate, we've secured grant funding for about 70% of these projects. And in our capital savings, we have, we should have the other 30% to be able to do them this year. So you'll be hearing more about those projects as we bring the details in front of you. Any questions about the changes to the budget before I move on? Yes, Councillor Dume.
Thank you very much. Would you, while you're on the topic, I've had several citizens since we've passed that order previously for the EV project. Would you explain that process and if there is explain the usage and if there's a source of revenue from that, or how does that end up playing out so the public can know that?
Yeah, of course. So the chargers will be installed. They'll have credit card readers on them and you can pay using an app. And we have the Wi-Fi in the property, so hopefully that would be a good option for people. It'll be on the map for a lot of people with the EV or electric vehicles because they might be looking for a charger that'll show up on those kinds of maps. And the library will have some kind of online account where we would collect the money from the EV chargers, and we have control over the rates that we set for it. So we're doing a lot of calculations right now about what we need to set that at for to get the return on investment that we'd like. But ultimately, we're only investing $3,600 to get these chargers, which the whole project is about $36,000. So it won't take long.
And that revenue goes directly to the Memorial Library.
It does, yeah.
Thank you for answering.
Of course. Any other questions before I move on to the fun stuff? Okay. So I've alluded to this a couple times in previous presentations about, it came up when I was explaining the budget, the asset management fees, or about this other organization called Millinocket Library Support Corporation. And I just feel that I owe you all, I've been doing this with my board, a big picture understanding of that process. I think it matters because it'll give you a better sense of our overall financial situation. It will help you understand why we're budgeting for asset management fees for the next 3 years. And it'll give you a better understanding of the lease and the current legally defined relationship between the town and the library. So just starting at the beginning, who's familiar with the New Markets Tax Credit Program? Anyone? Okay, got a couple of hands. I did, yeah. Well, you'll get, I get to go over it again. It's a national program. It started in 2000, and it was intended to incentivize investments in community development capital projects in rural or low-income areas. So this area qualifies, and it basically how it works is it gives investors tax credits for investing in those kinds of projects. And community development entities, also called CDEs, are groups that orchestrate these. So sometimes it's a bank, sometimes it's just a company that's what they do. They understand it and they design these processes. The New Markets program really benefited the library because we completed a $2 million renovation and we only had raised $1 million. So we were able to get an outside investor, in this case, Bangor Savings Bank, to invest $1 million into our project, and Bangor Savings will receive tax credits for that later on. The library, so if you think about it, there's $2 million that were funneled into this project. $1 million came from Bangor Savings, and $1 million came from the library, who had to lend the money to a third entity. We couldn't lend the money to ourselves, so we had to create another corporation to receive the money and execute the renovation. So I'm going to get into that a little bit more. That entity is Millinocket Library Support Corporation, or MLSC. So it's a separate nonprofit. It has a board of directors that's separate from the library's board, and it meets annually. and actually paid all the renovation costs. And it has to exist, like I said, because we couldn't make the loan to ourselves, which is very common in these new markets processes to have to create another entity. It has to last for 7 years, so this is all above board. That's kind of a IRS standard. And actually, questions so far? Who's confused? Anyone? It took me about a year to understand this, so.
When you speak of having two separate boards, could you explain to people the responsibilities of those boards? I mean, you have a library board and you have a corporate board, that this support corporations board.
Yeah.
What are the responsibilities of those boards as it pertains to the library as a whole?
I think they're both pretty similar on paper. There is a little overlap, so I think we have 2 members of the library board that are on this. It just can't be, fully overlapping. They review the financials and make sure that we are in agreement with our loan agreements in this process and in compliance with all of that. So that's basically what they're doing. The MLSC board is doing. The library board, is responsible for a lot more in terms of steering the direction of the library and other fiduciary responsibilities related to the library operations.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So just to review the roles, Bangor Savings Bank was the investor, the library was the lender, MLSC borrowed the $2 million, and we had 2 different CDEs in this case. I'm going to put this all into a visual. I did not come up with this diagram, but so apologies in advance. The reason we have 2 CDEs is because we participated in the New Markets program on a state level and a federal level. So we had to have 2 different people helping out. But you can see that loans were made from the library at the state level, the federal level. They funnel down to the borrower, and then the borrower pays interest back to the library. And Bangor Savings Bank gets tax credits back from this process eventually. I'm going to add another layer. So here we see the asset management fees and allocation fees that we have to pay to the CDEs along the way. And I think there's another layer. Let me see. Yes, the other layer is that we don't own the land that the library is on, the town does. So the town had to create a lease between the town and MLSC, and MLSC had to create a lease between them and the library. So the library is technically a subletter. And has to pay rent to MLSC. So I think that's the last layer of this horrifying diagram. But I hope the arrows help and show you the big flows of money that are happening. And what I really want to draw your attention to is just these asset management fees that we're required to pay. And that's why you're seeing it in the budget. Technically, we're paying rent, but it all goes to MLSC to then pay those asset management fees that are required. And I've been zeroing in on what is that exact amount over time that we're going to need. And it's going to be about $17,000 per year for the remaining 3 years of this arrangement. So it's not nothing, but I do think it is doable and we'll get there. But you will see that in our budget as required for the next 3 years. This just goes over some of the ongoing responsibilities that I think I've pretty much covered so far. I guess lastly about this, I'll just say it is a lot of money that we're paying in these asset management fees, but doing that unlocked almost $1 million that allowed us to complete that project. And for anyone who, I haven't told about the project, it's just really redefined, I think, to this community, what a library is, what our potential is. It's so much more open, flexible, usable, accessible, and safe. So I do think in the end it's worthwhile, but it does mean dealing with these complex programs and processes and fees. I'm going to get into the lease now. I'm almost done. I don't want to take too much of your time, but so back in 2019, the town did sign a 75-year lease with the support corporation. And then, like I said, MLSC leases it to the library. There's some requirements in this lease. We have to remain a library. Seems pretty obvious. We have to maintain the building adequately. We have to pay for all of the utilities and the property and liability insurance associated with the building at replacement costs and at extremely high levels for liability. And we have to provide you all with adequate information about changes that we'd like to make to the building. On your end, you need to pretty much, like within reason, allow subsequent building improvements that are consistent with the long-term operation of the library. So that's a direct quote from the current lease. So, you know, we give you the information about the EV chargers and everything, and as long as it is consistent with that long-term operation, there shouldn't be too much discussion about it. The town has also agreed not to sell the property until at least 2027 and give us the right of first refusal if you do want to sell it later on. Lastly, I think initially Peter and I thought there was going to be an amendment to the lease. That's actually not the case in this meeting. But what we are hoping to clear up is that the town has been paying some redundant expenses that are required by the library to pay. So there's some extra insurance being paid for the past few years when we already have, extremely high levels of insurance required by the lease. So we're just trying to clear all that up and really finally get all the expenses paid by the library for the library. I think this will save the town a bit of money, save us some money, and simplify the payments to the library, because you won't have to reserve any money for the end of the year in case there are expenses that need to be paid for. So I think that's all I have about the New Markets process, and I'll open it up for questions.
There's Will. Any questions from the council? Council, right?
I just wanted to say thank you. It's pretty in-depth and it's a lot of work, so I appreciate you presenting. Thank you.
Of course.
Questions from the council? You got anything else in the presentation?
I don't think so at this point. Yeah.
You were taking a break. I thought you were taking a break and answering questions.
This is pretty much the end, but I wasn't sure how many questions there might be. I guess I just want to say, I hope this gives you some context about the library-town relationship on paper, like I said. And I do think that when 2026 comes around and we're able to unwind, that's the term for dissolving MLSC in this process, that would be a great opportunity for us. We're gonna have to rewrite the lease anyway to consider how we might want to rewrite the library-town relationship on paper. In the meantime, I'm willing to have a lot of conversations about what that could look like and how we can have clear understandings of expectations between the town and the library. But we will have a built-in opportunity in 2026. So just to put that on the horizon and zoom out a little bit.
I do have a comment.
Go for it.
Before I go down to the public, because I do think it's important that the public has, if they have thoughts that they'd like to share, that the total commitment budgeted last year into this current fiscal year is $100,000 from the town of Millinocket. That's your taxpayer money. So it's really informative, and I thank you for coming to share that information quarterly. And people should really be paying attention to how their tax dollars are being spent, because the library as presented is much more than a library at this moment. It's more of a community center. It's more than a brick and mortar lending books and going on microfiches. It's not those days anymore. It's kind of a community center. It's kind of an outreach programs. I mean, through our conversation, there was so much more. So with that being said, are there any questions or comments from the public for the library director? Back to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You said that we were paying extra on the insurance.
Yeah.
Do we know how much that would be saving?
Do you have the exact figure, Peter? I think it was in the $3,000 range per year.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but it's roughly $3,000.
Yeah. And switching over, last little utilities here and there, I think we're still, you're still paying for our telephones and just little odds and ends that we want to get.
And the wastewater billing.
Wastewater, yeah.
Oh, I lost it.
Fire extinguisher inspections.
So just to for comparison, the insurance coverage that the town has currently that is redundant on that property. Covers the building at about $1.2 million. The insurance coverage that the library is required to have on their belongings is $4.7 million. So our insurance coverage that currently exists on that property touch the amount of replacement value that is on their policy.
And it's pretty clear in the lease that the town is protected, you know, you're not at risk if there was a lawsuit or anything related to the property, so.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other council comment or question? And down to the public. Anybody from the public? Bring on. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. And lastly, I mean, you kind of set me up well, Counselor Dume, but we are having an open house on, it was rescheduled due to the cold last weekend. It's gonna be March 4th. It's a Saturday from 1 to 2:30. So whether you're a member of the council or the public, if you haven't seen the building and want to come by, and I'd be happy to give you a tour, show you around and orient you to what your library is in 2023. So I hope you can make it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now to the town manager's report.
I'll take that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are moving into the season of congressionally directed spending. The applications are expected to be available mid-March. And at the encouragement of representatives from the offices of our main nation, we plan to resubmit for the previous applications that we put in for the airport terminal project, as well as the downtown sidewalks and lighting project. I'm confident that the applications will be stronger. I understand that the first round, they received very high rank. There happened to be, an exorbitant amount of applications from our specific area. When the information got, everybody caught wind of those programs, a lot more the second than the first. So I'm confident that they'll be even stronger though, especially for the airport terminal project, given the extensive work that Arcadia Design Works and Haley Ward put into advancing the design and engineering phase of that terminal build. And unless there's any disapproval, we will plan to be submitting the airport terminal project application to both Senators King and Collins, and the downtown sidewalks and lighting project application to Congressman Golden. What we understand at this point is that senators seem to have access to more money and can accept more applications. Congressman Golden is able to submit about 25% of the projects that the senators are able to, and they have a much smaller cap financially. So we feel pretty strong about our odds on that one. But given that it's been a year and things have fluctuated, things have advanced, we will be reevaluating, investigating more current numbers and tweaking those applications as necessary. In the world of communications, in keeping with our mission for open, clear, and consistent communication, I've started a weekly informational video series, partnership with Design Lab. It's called Mudwater with Pete. It's a spin on a Coffee with the Manager series. And I'll be discussing Millinocket related topics, debunking rumors, explaining how things work, and inviting our community members to participate in this process. The overall goal for Mudwater with Pete is to educate, encourage, and engage. 2 episodes there every Friday at 10 a.m. They're posted to both Facebook and Instagram. And now that I've been able to start receiving the video files. I'll be sharing those Cat TV to potentially put into their video cycle on the local access channel as well as others that don't get online soft can learn from those as well. Additionally, at the suggestion of council, I've reached out to the local newspaper with interest in contributing a monthly column with updates directly from town of Millinocket. Goal is to have that first one published by the end of February. Just awaiting a bit more detail and direction from the newspaper staff in that process. It's time to start talking about the FY24 budget. We are just a couple of weeks away from the beginning of that budget process. Certainly eager to get the ball rolling. That with the help of the treasurer and our department heads, I feel as though I've learned a great deal from my first run at that last year. I'll be entering the process this year with a better understanding and a more solidified plan. All goes well, according to the scheduled deadlines I have set, we should be wrapping up the process with our special hearings on April 20th and April 27th, and should be voting on the adoption of that budget on April 27th. This will put us in 100% compliance with our town charter, having budget completed no less than 60 days prior to the beginning of our next fiscal. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about a airport position vacancy. We have a vacant part-time position at the airport that we'll need to address as soon as possible. However, we have some dilemmas around that job, qualifications versus pay rate. Position requires a Class B driver's license as well as specialized training, fueling aircrafts with both aviation gas and jet fuel. The hours are extremely minimal and pay is currently set at the minimum wage. The town has actually been very fortunate over the years to be able to fill those positions with qualified retirees that are not dependent necessarily on the income time involved in the position. But given the increase in administrative duties and workload on airport manager, it certainly would be beneficial to increase the hours and the pay rate of that position. That would increase the efficiency of the department by allowing that person to lean a little more into the operation and take some of the weight off the airport manager's load. I'll point out, we did receive some email comment from a member of the community and former town councilor earlier who had gone online and read through this report. He made a very good point. The fuel sales at the airport are pacing, far in advance of what we had budgeted for revenue. So it's likely that will continue, and it's likely that it will certainly help to offset the cost of the operations and this potential investment. I'll seek some input from the council this evening. If there's interest, we would be prepared to come on the 23rd with a proposal to revise that position. I just want to go over some of the requirements for that position. Again, it is must have at least a Class B license, trained in fueling both aviation gas and jet fuel, to be able to handle aircrafts, and then there's quite a lot of groundskeeping involved as well. Lots of snow plowing time, lots of time on the tractor taking grass in the fields. It's a lot more work than one guy can do on his own. And then there's other smaller aspects, customer service, the retail sales that's up there. They actually sell the oil and different changing oil engines and other products. So, and the pay is currently set at $15.80 an hour. And the only reason it's at $15.80 an hour is minimum wage had increased in January. So there's certainly a good argument to be made about increasing hours, increasing pay there to invest in. I was really excited to talk about the skating rink being open, and it was 40 degrees and sunny the past couple of days, so I don't know what condition that is actually in right now. But thankful for the cold snap, we were able to, you know, crew over there was able to produce some really nice ice, and had planned for that to be open. You know, Fridays 4 to 8, Saturdays and Sundays 1 to 8, and then some more expansive hours over February vacation. So I do hope that we see another strong dip in temperatures so that we can have some solid ice over there. You know, we have a very big town event happening over there very soon. So we want to see nods for yes, cold weather, and frozen water to skate on during that day. There would be a lot less to do if unable to skate. There are, thanks to some grant funding that we received through the rec department, there are 40 pairs of new ice skates over there in various sizes that people can borrow if they, you know, happen to not have their own pair. They're available when hut is open and staffed, and there's no cost to borrow them. They just have to leave their boots behind. So I think it's a pretty fair trade. And then just some reminders of upcoming events. We have Winterfest and Snowdown coming up later this month. Starts Friday, February 17th with the snowmobile parade. That comes right down our main street here, Propscott Ave. Hopefully there's some cold weather so that we can pack that, pack the side of that lane with some snow that they can ride on. That happened, but had canceled that parade last year. It was 50 degrees of rain. And on Saturday the 18th, we've got breakfast and lunch at the Timber Cruisers. They've got an antique vintage snowmobile show over there that day. It's kids ice fishing day at Jerry Pond. The Abigail Fisk Memorial Scholarship Ride, leaving that thing. Sunday the 19th is good time to snow down over at the skating rink. That's why we're hoping for cold weather and frozen water. There's lots of great activities planned that day. And Saturday 25th, on the other side of that week, we'll be down East Millinocket at East Branch Snow Rovers for a big kids' day activity. Lots of good stuff happening that day as well. That's it for me this evening. Happy to take any questions or hear comments.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any council comment on the town manager's report? Council Pelletier.
Yes, thank you, Manager, for the abbreviated report, and I'm in agreement with enhancing the airport position.
Council Bryden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if you want to wait until public comment, but I do have an email from Randy Jackson. He did give me permission to read it tonight. Do you want me to wait till public comment for that, or?
Is it pertaining to the manager's report?
It's pertaining to the airport position. Hi, all. I read with interest the description of the part-time airport worker that is needed. I read all the job qualifications, including the special license and need for taking course in order to fulfill the job. This is not a minimum wage job. There are responsibilities that go with this job, and it requires considerable independence, problem solving, and knowledge of technical equipment. They will be exposed to the harsh weather of Maine, and in many cases, they will deal with hazardous material. They will be on call many hours and have to work a variety of hours and jobs. The town needs employees, and I think we need to think about more than minimum wage for this position. Offering to pay for the required licensing may help recruit such an individual. I'm also thinking of the airport as it moves forward. Certainly, some of the added revenue we have realized since taking over the fueling could be reinvested in our employees. Sincerely, Randy D. Jackson. I do have comments myself. First off, I do love the mud water with Pete. I loved the trailer on Facebook, as with most people that saw that trailer. It was kind of funny. Second and last is the airport position. I'm fine with having a proposal, but before we go to that, do we know what the average pay is for that kind of position in the state of Maine?
We haven't done that research yet.
You haven't,
Waiting for
and
direction to see.
the schedule that you have listed here is approximately what is going to be needed.
That was the bare minimum of what exists now. We suggest that it's quite what that allows for is every other weekend throughout the spring and early fall. And it cuts back to 0 throughout the winter unless it's call into plow. But it, and then occasionally they help to cover vacations for airport. Otherwise, it wouldn't be allowed to, they wouldn't be able to, keep the place open.
Okay. I am in favor of seeing a proposal then. Thank you.
Next comment, manager's report, Council Higgins.
Yes, Mr. Manager, thank you again for your report and for all the work the departments do. I too am open to hearing the proposal as finding out what some of the other wages are for that position. Looking forward to Snow Down and Winterfest. And I will actually be out there. I've been actually participated in the ice fishing day for the kids over in Jerry Pond many times with my son. And I know that it was an exciting time. The kids all love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate all the different modes and methods and way you're looking to communicate with the public, and I will look forward to your monthly column in the newspaper coming up. I know there's plenty of information to share, and if you ever need any extra information from all your committees that are doing such great work, just reach out. I'm sure we could have some information from Age Friendly to share if you're ever at a loss for something to share. Excellent news on the schedule for the budget season coming right up, and it looks like you've got a great handle on that. As well as the airport position vacancy, totally support coming up with a proposal that I totally agree with former counselor Randy Jackson shared in that email to all of us, and the wage needs to increase to match the duties. So, and finally, around Winterfest and Snowdown, I know you're really touting that we got to have that skating rink, but there's lots going on, even if there isn't skating, for those of us that don't skate and like to watch. People watch, there's lots going on over in the recreation area, whether it's snowshoeing and the Dig-Gear Library will be over there, and we have hot dogs in the fire pit. And I encourage people to come to the Snowdown on Sunday the 19th from 1 to 4. At the very least, come wish your town manager a happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Danforth. Any other council comment? Council Madore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on the applications for the airport terminal and the downtown sidewalks and lights. When do the applications have to be filed? I know you said that in your report that there was a time for that is coming around, but when does the actual applications have to be filed for those projects?
If I remember correctly, I think they were due mid-June. You have a couple of months to. Hold on, does that sound right?
I think it's before that.
Maybe May. I want to say there's usually at least 2 months. Well, when they first brought it back, there was 5 days between the time they announced it, the time they wanted the application submitted. I do think it's early June, but I'd have to. We don't have a lot of work to do. They're very complex, but they're completed. We just need updated.
And do you have any idea when, or approximately the timeline of when the awards or the people that would be getting the money would be told that they will receive it?
I think those are
Late
usually,
fall?
I think those are announced, August, September timeframe. And depending on which department of the government is funding that process, that project, the receiving the funds, could take a year or more, but they've actually changed it to a reimbursement program, rather than wait and receive funds in full. So you could spend and get reimbursed when the money is paid.
I appreciate the fact that you set get the ball rolling for the budget. It's always part of the process that has the greatest reward and also the greatest heartburn, getting that budget ready. So I appreciate the fact that you're gonna get right on it, and it would be nice if we could have adoption of the budget by April 27th. I still, pardon me for being just a tad bit skeptical, because if you do it this year, that'll be the earliest I can remember the budget being ready in a long time. The airport position, I'd be willing to listen to any proposal that has to do with that as far as salary or extended hours. It doesn't necessarily mean that I would be in favor of approving just, a blank check type situation, but certainly I would be interested in any proposal that would be for that position. And other than that, other than wishing everybody having a great time on ice skates for Winterfest, which I will not be, because though I consider myself still a fairly coordinated person, ice skating was not one of my big suits in life. And I am a hazard to anybody else that's on the ice. But I wish everybody else well and hope they have a great time during it. And with that, I'll say thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Dora. I'll keep mine over here because I echo a lot of it. Thank you. I just got a question for the manager, and anybody can chime in if they want, because I was unaware that I thought the salaries and wages of town employees were there at the discretion of the manager. I didn't know that they came before the council. So just for budgeting.
If the position is being reshaped or expanded or whatever, I think for transparency's sake as well as anything else, I know that hiring, obviously the hiring part would be the manager's discretion of who he and the airport manager would be a candidate for that position. But as far as adjustments to salary and that would be, it would be a good transparency to have that discretion of the council moving forward.
I remember in years past though, when I was employed, that I had received raises, and I don't remember going in front of the council.
And if there was, plenty of room in the budget, that's one thing. What we may propose may affect budget moving forward, or we wouldn't want to promise a position to someone and then not have funding 4 months past the next fiscal year. So this is more of a CYA, have the council weigh longevity.
Well, either way, I'm in favor of it. I mean, I just didn't think it was, yes, Council Pelletier.
Yeah, the manager just made the point that I was gonna bring up. If it affects increasing the budget, then it would have to come to us. Otherwise, you're 100% correct. It's at his discretion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not only increasing it, but if we wanted to move money to increase a certain line, that also has to be approved by the council in most cases. So if this happened before we approve the next budget, it would most likely require at least funding being transferred from one line to another. So that portion would have to be approved by the council.
Any other council comment on the manager's report? Seeing none, down to the public.
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I know absolutely nothing about the airport, but my opinion is you have to pay a decent salary. If someone can go to McDonald's and make $15 an hour, they're not gonna stay at the airport, and if you want someone to learn the job and stay in the job, then you have to make it worth their while.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Any other council comment? Public comment? On the manager's report?
This would be a good opportunity to inform of the recreation committee. One full-term seat is vacant, and also, oh my gosh, I forgot. One alternate seat is available. So I just wanted to put that up there to the public. If there's any interest in the recreation committee, we have the applications at the town office.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I would add that, I believe we still have open seats on, Charter Review Committee as well as, Personnel Appeal after, providing tonight's, order is approved. I think we still have a seat on that as well.
I'm gonna be speaking to that point briefly on the committee report.
Okay, good.
Anybody else from the public like to speak on the manager's report? Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none? Thank you very much, Mr. Manager, for your report. Moving to order 23-2023, approval of the town warrant. Council Danforth, would you please read?
Order number 23-2023, providing for execution of the town warrant for February 9th, 2023. It is ordered that the town warrant for February 9th, 2023, in the amount of $90,913.18 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Council Danforth, second by Council Bragdon. Would you like to speak to the order, please?
Yes, there's some heavy hitters, $35,690.74 to Arcadia Design Works. That's part of the airport terminal building design and construction. $2,979, breaking the cycle. That's some GA rental assistance provided. $14,960.40 Dead River diesel fuel. $2,049.01 to Maine Technology Group for IT services. $7,742.73 Municipal Review Committee. Those are tipping fees. $8,886.54 New England Salt Company, salt for Public Works. $4,494.19 Preble Oil Company for heating oil. One more, $2,720 Jeffrey Rush. He hauls snow away for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comment on this order. Seeing none, down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-0. Council Danforth, would you please read order number 24-2023?
Order number 24-2023. Providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for February 9th, 2023. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for February 9th, 2023 in the amount of $2,374.81 is hereby approved.
Motion made by Council Danforth, seconded by Council Goley.
There's 2 or 3 I can say. $437.83 Maine Technology Group, again, IT services. $431.73 McMaster Car Supply Company. $475.26 Versus Power.
Thank you, Council Danforth. Council comment? Being none, down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? 4, 5, 6, 7-0. Unanimous. Order number 25-2023, Council Danforth, would you please read? Your question.
Oh my God.
You can read it now? Wow. Go ahead and let Council Pelletier have a shot.
Order number 2023. Approval for donation to Eastern Area Agency on Aging. It is ordered that the town manager is authorized to expend from the undesignated is authorized to expend from the undesignated fund balance $1,350 in support of Eastern Area Agency on Aging.
Second.
Motion made by Council Pelletier, seconded by Council Danforth, Council discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. I support this order, but.
But before we go to the vote, I would know Andrew Crusoe from Eastern Area Agency on Aging is here, so at that point, I would encourage him
Are
to
there
come to
any
the podium.
objections to Andrew Caruso speaking before the rest of the council?
Mr. Chairman, really don't think it's necessary. It's very explanatory what is actually in here. I think that it is certainly a vital service for the community. And I think that it's very self-explanatory of what the money is going for. I think it was very well presented in the order, so I really don't think it's necessary.
All right. with
No offense.
That being said, any other council comment? Council Goldie?
I would agree with Councilor Madore, although I'm a little sad to deny him the opportunity to come and speak, but thank you.
Any other council comments? I understand that. Seeing none, down to the public. Anybody from the public like to speak on this order?
I would just like to thank you guys on behalf.
You have to please step up to the mic. Address your name and your address, please.
Andrew Caruso, 20 Crestmont Avenue. I'd like to thank you guys on behalf of the agency. I'm the supervisor for Meals on Wheels for the area. We really appreciate any help that can be given, and this is part of our municipal campaign that we ask every town throughout the 4 counties that we serve. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public like to speak on the order? Seeing none, back to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I too agree that the order and the
Information provided is totally, it covers what they do. I just wanted that opportunity for our local face and our local person to get up in front so that people in the community would see a name and a face to this great organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Council Danforth. Any other council comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? 7-0. Order number 26-2023. Council Bragg, would you please read?
Order number 26, 2023, providing for approval to expend $100 in the events committee budget. Whereas the events committee would like to provide a donation to the Friends of Millinocket Memorial Library's Valentine's Day luncheon event, whereas the events committee will donate $100 to support the purchase of food and tickets for those unable to afford them for the event. It is now ordered that the town council approves the expenditure of $100 in the events committee budget for the Friends of the Millinocket Memorial Library Valentine's Day luncheon out of account E1106-7012, leaving a remaining balance of $6,998.00.
Second.
Motion made by Council Bragg, seconded by Councilor Pelletier. Any council discussion? Seeing none, down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. Order passes. Order number 27-2023. Council Madore, would you please read?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Order number 27-2023, providing for donation to Region 3 Woosopoli project. Whereas the Northern Penobscot Technical Region 3 Digital Communications class is working on a project to produce a one-of-a-kind Woosopoli board game, and whereas the town manager has approached the program director about the town of Millinocket participating by donating funds to be represented on the game, and whereas students from Millinocket schools attend Northern NPT Region 3 It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council authorize a donation from the undesignated fund balance to the Northern Penobscot Technical Region 3 in the amount of, and if I could, Mr. Chairman, I would like to throw out there, I would ask that the council donate $350 broken down as a one tax spot, that's $100, and 5 of the either DYI or the career cards that are $50 a piece for a total of $250, for a grand total of $350 for the designation.
Second.
Motion made by Council Madore, seconded by Council Golley. Council discussion. Council Golley.
I think this is a really cool opportunity. So long as the town is not jail on the board game, I think we're in great shape. But no, this is a really cool opportunity, and I appreciate the manager for bringing this to us. Excited to see what comes of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Golley. Any other council discussion? Mr. Manager, do you have anything to add on this? Nope. Thank you. Anybody from the public? Any questions, comments? Seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor? I see 7-0. Order passes. Order number 28-2023. Council Higgins, would you please read?
Yes, Mr. Chair, order 2023. Sorry, order number 2023. Providing for authorization for personal property tax write-off, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council authorizes the tax collector and or treasurer to write off uncollectible personal property taxes totaling $750.40 as of 2/6/2023 for the following businesses. Name: Automatic Vending and Games, the amount of $103.81 from the year 2016. Robert Duvall, $29.66 from the year 2016. Ed Sear and Sons, $216.52 from the year 2016. George Pelletier for the amount of $400.41 for the year 2016, for a total of $750.40. Note, the tax collector's request to write off personal property taxes is the result of the 2016 bills being over 6 years old and deemed uncollectible and or billed in error and past the deadline for the assessor to correct.
Second.
Motion made by Council Higgins, seconded by Council Madore. Any council discussion? Seeing none down to the public.
Scott Levin, 3030 Commerce Street. I was just wondering, is there a time limit on this? Because I'm seeing that a write-off of 2016 should have been long before this. Is there a procedure in the town that it goes 7 years before you write off something or not?
It's great.
Just something I wanted to know.
Yeah, it's actually right in the note. I don't know if you have the order in front of you,
Yeah,
but the note is from 2016 bill. So anything being over 6 years old is deemed uncollectible. And I can speak from experience. I remember having to do that as tax collector. There are just some businesses that for whatever reason don't pay their taxes. And unlike property taxes and things of that nature, these taxes are just, this bark doesn't have any bite to it. And so unfortunately, this is cleared off the books because it goes against you negatively if you don't. So I understand this process. It's unfortunate that these companies don't pay their taxes, but fortunately it's with mock flops. Any other public comment? Seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor? 7-0, order passes. Order number 29-2023, Council Golley, would you please read?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, order number 29-2023, providing for approval of application for appointment to Personnel Appeals Board. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the appointment of Richard Ngati to the Personnel Appeals Board for a 3-year term to expire February 2026. Note, Richard's application was received on February 8th, 2023. and is the only application on file. The board currently has 2 full-term vacancies.
Second.
Motion made by Council Golley, second by Council Brandon. And Council Conlon. Council Brandon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick, I just want to thank you for applying. It's always great to see your name pop up when you do these things. You've always been dedicated to the town of Millinocket, and this is just another thing that you're doing, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Brandon, Council Madore.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to go ahead and thank, again, we put these out there. These are volunteer, positions. People give it their time and effort. This is the only position I think in the town that Dick hasn't held so far. So it's good that he's managed to complete the entire set.
It's like Monopoly.
But I do appreciate the fact that he's showing the interest for it. I think that he's a fine person to have on the board. And I appreciate him putting his name in. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Does he get another resolve for this?
No.
Thank you. Any other council comment? Seeing none down in the public?
Richard Angotti, 222 Katahdin Avenue. I just like to come in and swear at Diane, that's all. Thank you. Thank you for the
As long as
opportunity.
your wife keeps bringing those sweets, I'm sure you can. All right, seeing none, back to the council, all those in favor? I see 7-0. Unanimous. Warrant Committee for February 23-2023, council meeting with, what's a meeting with Council Golley and Council Higgins. I'm reading this. So warrant committee will be Council Golley and Council Higgins. Chair committee reports. Council Golley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Economic Development Sustainability Committee has a meeting this month. It will be on the 21st, I believe. And that will be at 5:30. It is an important meeting. We're going over a lot of items, some of which are for short-term rentals, but a lot of other items on how to use some of the items that we've budgeted for economic development, substantial funds there. Also looking at potential changes in our bidding process or RFP process for awarding tax acquired properties. It's a pretty long list. We'll be holding it here at 5:30 in these chambers, and you can also attend via Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I also encourage, this is the meeting that we've been pushing for, the public is so passionate about, so please make your voices heard, attend that meeting. A lot of items on that agenda that are important that come in on going as well. So thank you, Mr. Foley. Any other council committee, chair committees? Seeing none, I do want to address the Charter Review Committee. I've been following email chains for a while. And it's unfortunate that it's come down to this moment, but because I don't really want to get rid of another committee. But I think as far back as I was researching in late November, Council Pelletier, you addressed that you felt it wasn't functioning. You are the committee chairman, co-chair, or deputy chair, and Council Brandon, correct? So, and we haven't been able to get any public support for that or council attendance for that. So I'm at the point where I would like to have some council support to support this. If I don't see any council support or public support for it, then I will be probably terminating that committee. So unless I have, and I think I need 4 people, correct? I need 3 from the council and at least 1 from the public. 3 from the public.
The original make was 3 and 3.
3 and 3. Thank you for correcting me. So I'm looking for 3 counselors and 3 from the public. I don't necessarily mean right now, but if. Council Brad.
Mr. Chairman, I've expressed interest in taking over the charter review committee with you. I have reached out to the public and I have found some public interest and I will let them speak to it. And I've spoken to another counselor who is also interested in dipping their toe in the water and learning more about the charter. So there is some interest that I have gauged on my own. Like I said, I will let those two individuals speak on their own behalf, but if it does come down to that point, I would be in favor of chairing the committee. And I do have some public support to run it.
Okay, Council Pelletier?
It's not that I do not want to chair the committee.
Oh, no, I wasn't implying that.
That's all I'm.
All right. If we can find 3 members from the public that are willing to attend, and I wasn't questioning the fact that we have 3 counselors, you know, I'm willing to have a meeting and continue. As far as I'm concerned, if we don't have that kind of, you know, legit representation from the public, there's no interest. And not to discount the work that's been done, it's been turned over to the manager to proceed with what was the original intent of turning it over for review, what we've done so far from legal, to see which method of changing the charter we should follow from there on.
Thank you, and I have had email transfers with the manager, and I think that there's a process already set in place that you described out to me. One or two processes. Correct, but for this intents and purposes, then that we understand the process pretty much now. And so do you still want to be?
Yes, I wouldn't mind chairing the committee. It's a matter of having representation there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be happy to stay on as well. I think it is important that we try at least one last push to get members of the public onto the committee. It might be worth reaching out to the school as well, since they're implicated in some of this. If they want to have representation, they would obviously have to be a town resident, but it would be good, I think, for us to reach out and see if the school could be represented on that committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just the rebuttal to that comment. I have personally reached out 3 times to the superintendent and the school board for representation. Never heard a word.
Thank you, Council Pelletier. Do I have any other council interested in?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I would like to be a member of that committee as well. I mean, I understand will be 4 councils on there.
And
But I can also can I sit as a member of the public and not be on?
That's what I was gonna clarify. Yes, you can be on the committee.
yes,
Thank you. I would like to participate in that committee.
thank you, Council Higgins.
That's all I was gonna say. If you're represented as a counselor, then that would obviously make a quorum. There's 4 counselors. That was all I was gonna say.
So for it to be known, and before I set this into motion, if you did get put on the committee, it would be as a member of the public.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other input?
I don't know if that's needs some kind of clarification. Sitting as a member of public on the committee, he still has a vote.
Mr. Chair, when it comes down to that vote, as a member of the public, and I can abstain. Can I not?
Yes, but you have the option of attending as a member of the public through Zoom or in person at all committee meetings. They're all open to the public. So you could have been there at the last meeting
So is the final decision that he cannot because?
because it's a counselor.
Maybe because of the voting. We did have an explanation from legal. It's going on probably a year ago at this point, about council participation above the number of quorum committees. But that may be the point of clarification, the actual voting rights on the committee.
Can we get that clarification by next council meeting,
Yes.
please?
Also, I think it would behoove us to have an equal number of public representation
I
as
agree.
counselors.
I agree. Anybody from the public have any? Yes,
He's still out of the gate when he picks up speed.
Yeah. Richard Angotti, 222 Katahdin. I would also like to be, I would be willing to serve on this board or this committee.
thank you. When you step to the mic, please address yourself and your address.
Hi, my name is Gage Modry, 9 Katahdin Extension. I have also spoken with some people in regards to the committee and would like to take part in that committee as well.
Well, thank you very much for stepping up. I'm glad I brought this up today.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Could you just repeat that for me?
My name is Gage Modry.
Thank you.
Ms. Sullivan? Did you have your hand up?
I just want to know what's involved. Because I don't know what's in.
That's a good question.
Sure. What we have been doing is going through the charter page by page. And some just grammar and gender pronouns being changed. That's just housekeeping kind of thing, but any suggestions that any members have discussed, and if a majority of it's not voted on because we're just making recommendations, what happens is whatever is recommended by members discussed, and if there's consensus, then it's included as a change in the draft. And we've gone pretty much to about halfway through the charter now, and my plan was to devote, because of new people coming on, devote some 15 minutes to starting to review, certain sections that we've done already with the changes that have been given, and then move on to keeping on finishing the rest of the document.
I have hesitated because I have not been back in town that long. And I don't know as I would be in a position to tell the town how to run the town when I haven't been here for 50 years.
This is just recommendations for changes that you think would help the administration of the town, in the charter, something that's, and it's only recommendations that will be reviewed by legal. And then the process is going to be pretty much repeated to what we've done over again by a legally established committee. And there again, there'll be public hearings, stuff like that at the end of that before a vote is taken, or whether it goes out to referendum. It's one or two ways of doing it.
Okay, I would be interested in being on the committee then.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that where you have these names, we can vote them in tonight.
I have another clarifying question. I've been speaking with the colleagues up here, so. This is a committee that only makes recommendations to the council, am I correct? It's not a committee that has any voting power, that their vote is binding. So I don't see.
And even the council won't have a binding vote, they'll take a vote whether to move forward.
Correct.
Just establish a review committee.
Correct.
So it would, if I may, it would,
Absolutely.
Depending on the recommendations made by that group, it could go to a referendum vote down, and whether or not to establish the what's called a charter commission.
Correct.
Which then that process would, like you mentioned, Council Pelletier, repeat it. It would have to be a shorter time frame. It would be locked into 9 months, and the commission that is voted on by the townspeople, by the population of would have to review all of that and come up with their version of that recommendation. That would then be voted on by the towns. Right. It's also, there's a financial element to it. Increasing legal costs and other expenses.
If you needed the totals, I gave that to you. In the papers that I gave you earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I will, the charter review committee will consist of Council Pelletier, I wrote Bragdon down twice, Council Goalie, Council Bragdon, Richard Ngotti, part of the public, Gage Motory is part of the public, Miss Sandy Sullivan is part of the public.
I didn't get a chance to, but I wanted to address Sandy. I've known you for 2 years, and for 2 years, you have done nothing but come to these meetings and dedicate your time here. I don't think there is a more dedicated person to be on this committee than you. You show up, you attend, and we don't get that from half the public. So I think you're more than welcome to join this committee.
City Calendar.
Council Medora.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, because I don't want to dissuade anybody's interest in this, may I offer the fact that Councilor Higgins be considered as an alternate council person for this committee? And by being that he could attend the meetings, keep himself up to date on what's going on and just not be a voting member until such time as he's needed as, you know, to step in if a counselor cannot continue with the duties of the committee.
I'm fine with that. Council Goalie.
I'd like to make a motion that the Charter Review Committee consists of Councilor Bragdon, chaired by Councilor Pelletier, Councilor Goalie, Councilor Higgins as an alternate, Mr. Ngotti, Mr. Motory, and Ms. Sullivan.
Second. Motion made by Council Goalie, second by Council Medora. Discussion from the public, discussion from the council. I know that we've already discussed it, but.
Yeah, I would need the email addresses in order to.
Right. Yeah, we'll take care of that clerical stuff after. Anybody from the council?
Just thank you to those who are willing to serve. It's an important committee addressing some significant things that arose a couple of years ago, but clearly there's other things as we're going through it that we're finding need some updating. And it's also a really good process to learn how and why we make the decisions we do and in what manner, because we all have to follow a very specific process, as does the administration. So even if you did not put your name out there to serve on it, certainly encourage you to still participate or even watch videos after they're published on YouTube, just to learn the process and see what our thoughts are. And you can always submit comment to the chair or the co-chair of the committee if you don't want to participate or can't, but would rather write an email or a letter, at least expressing your thoughts, so this can be as open as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Gold. Any other council comment? Council Higgins?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a good opportunity. And it's kind of ironic because, you hear me? It's kind of ironic.
Good question. Is it to the order of building this committee?
No.
You say whatever it is. After the order. Any other council, public comment? Scott, you can move that back. I'm sorry.
Oh, and I'm trying to hold on.
Oh.
1211, 330 Congress Street. It's like anything else, I'm gonna oppose a lot of things. I think that we should wait at least till the next council meeting and get a description written up for this charter. I know Louis explained it, but a lot of people jumping in and truly go down and show what is consistent. I'd like to, I'm thinking of it, putting my name in, but I'd like to really, just like any job, show the description and when they're gonna meet. Is it a monthly thing or is it a thing?
Twice.
So things like that should be written down in that. And like I said, I don't think wait until the next council meeting is gonna withdraw any of these people, but just to give them a sure thing of what this is about, because you're just saying a charter committee. Well, I'll do it, but when they get to it and they're looking and saying, oh, this persists to this, or persists to that, that's all I'm saying is, could we just give it probably Diane or could write up a description, email it to us. That way we can look and read it and decide, if we really want to do this. That's all I'm just suggesting that. I know it's more work for you, but I'm just saying it give me, I like to look and read something and saying, hey, this is going to be 2 times a month. When is it going to be on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Because I've got to look at my schedule and say, can I participate in this? And know the description. That's all I'm asking.
I think I can answer your question then on the 2 counselors. That description would be coming from the chairman.
Yep.
And not from Diana, so that would be,
Okay.
that'd be a Councilor Pelletier. He's the current chairman of that. So I would defer that. I know he just had to excuse himself, but I'm gonna let him answer those questions and send that email to you.
Yep.
Councilor Goldie.
Yeah, this has been advertised for a long time,
Yep, I know.
published frequently online in the paper. The description's out there. This has been out for at least, the committee's been operating for at least 2 years. So I would just say, I think we've done our part in putting that out there. And the information's there. But you're definitely welcome to reach out to Councilor Pelletier or myself as co-chair of the committee if you want more information. Thank you.
Councilor Bragg.
If I'm not mistaken, there is a description of all the committees on the website. I was trying to look it up on my phone, but unfortunately the phone view is not very user friendly. Am I wrong in saying that there is a description of it on the website?
There's a mission statement.
Mission statement. And to another point, correct me if I'm wrong again, if you do end up wanting to be on this committee, I don't think we have to stop the people that are here tonight from wanting to be on it. We can add him in the future, can't we?
Yep. I don't have any problem with that.
So I don't think we should stop the individuals that have shown interest tonight and stopping them from being on the committee, but rather when you're ready and you've read the mission statement and talked with Councilor Pelletier and Councilor Golib and you express your interest, we can add you then.
He can reach out to you as well.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. My phone number, if I don't answer right away, I'll call you back.
Does that help you out at all, Scott?
Yeah. Like I said, I'll reflect it later on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilor Madore.
there's a motion and a second on the table for the 6 people that will be the committee. That doesn't preclude anybody from joining meetings via Zoom or whatever, just not being a actual voting member. So I move that I'd like to go ahead and call the vote on the actual motion and the second.
All right, I'm gonna call the vote. All those in favor? 7-0. Right. And so we have an order. All right, so we're still in the chair committee reports. As I remember, there were none other than what I proposed. Council Pelletier, just to catch you up. Mr. Levitt will be reaching out to yourself, Council Goldie, Council Bragdon on further questions or information that's needed, because he is interested in participating, but he just needs further information. So if you would, if you need to have, that'd be great.
So it's there a possibility he'll be added to the committee?
Yeah, this is a possibility. But as it stands, we roll with the 6 with the 1 alternative. If there comes a point where he's available, attends the meetings, and one of you 3 councilors cannot, he will fill in.
Yeah.
The people from the public that were assigned to that committee, if you could turn in your information to the clerk. Phone numbers, email addresses, that would be greatly appreciated. With that, I'd like to move down to the 2-minute public comment. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes.
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I would just like to know if the warming center was made available this past weekend.
Why it was?
If it was, I know the library was until 9 o'clock, but anyone who needs a place to stay warm needs it after 9 o'clock. So was the town warming center made available after that time?
The warming center that was available was a partnership between the library and the town, at the call of the town. There was not a state of emergency called. We did not open it. We also, in all of the time that the warming center was open, there were 0 people that attended. So I feel we made the right call there.
If people don't know that there's something available, though, they can't take advantage of it. I'm just saying, like every town around, East Millinocket, Medway, Lincoln. I saw online what was available. I saw nothing from the town.
There was tremendous amount from the town on social media.
And the library.
The warming center that was available was offered in partnership from the town of Millinocket and the Millinocket Memorial Library.
And the library closed at 9 o'clock.
That's correct. And the offering was free transportation and overnight accommodations at the Peer-to-Peer Recovery Center. They had offered to open their doors. We were not in a state of emergency. Not able to open that 24-hour emergency shelter. There's some more complexities to that on when we can open that and when we're allowed to use the funding to do that, not. And if you'd like some further clarification, you can ask Chief Malcolm, the local expert, to provide some more explanation.
Okay. It seems to me 51 below 0 with.
Chief Malcolm, would you please speak to it?
We also had 0 people attend. Even during the day.
Please let this chief speak.
Chief Malcolm, Millinocket Fire Department, EMA Director. There's a lot of difference between a warming center and a shelter. If you open a warming shelter or heating shelter, whatever you want to call it, cooling shelter, without a declared emergency, then the town will not get required is liable for all expenses, everything. We did this in partnership, looking at what we want to do is open someplace that was warm. We talked to the library, they were willing to do something with us. That's why we went down that road. We had multiple places that we could put people if they needed to stay overnight. This was all put out through social media, through every avenue that we had available. It was on the news, it was on the MEMA website. What we need to do is, when these things come up, we need to follow the plan that the state has out to do this with. And that's what we did. We did exactly the way the state laid it out.
That who defines those terms.
Those terms are
It's not
defined.
down.
No, it's by EMA. Very semantic.
I think that's where the public is confused, that the town of Millinocket has authority over that. And where it's a state guideline.
We can declare our own state of emergency, but if we do, then we're liable for all the costs. And if you open a shelter, it's a lot different than opening a warming center. You have to have so many bathrooms, you have to have so many showers, you have to have, there's a lot of provisions that you have to provide. I was gonna get up anyway and thank the library for stepping up and helping us and the volunteers we had. We were very, very fortunate. We had 0 people. Nobody needed it, nobody come out. We called some people that we knew through the fire station. I know the library did. I reached out to the schools, the social workers, contacted some families they knew just to see if everything was okay. And everybody listened to what was being put out and hunkered down, and we rode through this very safely. But there's a lot more to this when we do this, you can't just do it on a whim. It has to be done by the way that the rules are set out. Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to also respond to that and.
Ms. Sullivan, I understand the questions that you're asking, and through the age-friendly committee, we're really working on that communication piece. Like you said, people just don't know what's available. The town, and Chief Malcolm started to say the different processes that are in place and the different scenarios. It's almost like an algorithm, if this, then this happens. He had resources. There's somebody called 911, which was on that information flyer that mobilized Cottonwood that the library put out. He then had a means to help a family, a person, if they didn't have a place to stay warm that night. One of their resources were peer-to-peer with transportation there. There's other emergency funding if somebody needed to be put up in a hotel. Resources can be obtained. I know that's not clear, and that wasn't put out it wasn't a state of emergency. We just had the warming center. It's something, it's on my radar, just the communication piece, because we do have so many people living alone and perhaps didn't even have transportation to a warming center. So there's lots of layers to it. I'm in tune with your questions. I'm concerned, like you're concerned. If you want to join age-friendly committee as we work on this, I totally welcome you to. Been working with the chief and the assistant chief. We know going forward, we need some communication and information out there. Older people in their homes aren't looking at social media. We need to figure out a way to get information. So this is not the end of the conversation. It was a good sort of run through to see what we had for resources. Thank goodness for the library. They really stood up and stood out. But there's more discussion about this to come. Thank you.
Chairman, public comment section is for the public to comment on an issue, not to engage in a debate with the council members for answers at this time. Answers will be provided by how it sets up for the next meeting.
I thought we changed. Yeah, you guys changed that. You guys changed that. Any other public comment? 2 minutes.
Is it on? Robert Higgins, 110 Minuteman Drive. I want to thank the committee starting back up. It was kind of ironic because I actually planned on speaking in public tonight. It referenced something I'd like to change, and I've had other people contact me on. So I'd like to say, as a member of the council and a citizen of Millinocket, but now I am speaking from the public side. I'd like to propose that the Charter Review Committee in the town. All of you. Establish a term limit of no longer or no more than 2 consecutive terms for elected town officials. And that's consecutive. It's not saying you can never run again. By implementing the term limits, it would help promote more citizen involvement, like we're seeing here tonight. The participation, the opportunity for fresh ideas and energy into the town government. At the same time, preventing perceived appearance, because it is perceived, of careerism and providing for more transparency and understanding. And I can speak from being on that side, that as members of the council, we know it happens, a lot happens in between council meetings. There's a lot of preparing, listening to people from the town, public meetings, executive meetings, etc. And that most people are not privy to, nor should they, until the time is right, when we can actually talk about things. There's also a time and a place for all of that. There's a lot of information that the elected officials have to go through and digest between council meetings. And a lot of that members of the town don't understand. I mean, they're not aware of what we actually do. Which that break in the term limits would give the opportunity to more members of the town. And with the way our seat terms are staggered, as they are incorrectly, it would still allow for the mentoring and development of newly elected officials like myself, thus allowing for the experience and knowledge we passed on and keeping the integrity of the town government. Thank you.
If you cut it to Higgins. We have a council comment. I mean, public comment. Apologize.
Pat Ryden, 92 Lincoln Street.
I was one of the people that had discussions with Mr. Higgins. I've been talking about it for a couple of years, didn't know a way to implement it or bring it to the council, and now that it's kind of being brought forward, I am also in agreement that term limits should be put in place not only for the town council, but for the school board. I brought this up years ago, it was shot down, so I'm bringing it up again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bragdon. Any other public comment? Seeing none, thank you everybody for participating tonight.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn by Council Medora, seconded by Council Golley. Have a good night. Oh, do a vote. All in favor?
You got it.
Huh?